Hi everyone, thank you very much again for joining us on the monthly Hour session. This session is usually brought to you by the SCS Tech Entrepreneur SIG, ACE, and Stream Global. I do this once a month, every second Wednesday of the month, and we usually have two speakers who will share with us their experience and relevant topics for startup and for smaller ICT companies. But before I begin, it has been a long break since we did our last one, was probably about 6 months ago. So bear with me if I'm getting a little rusty. But before I start, I have a couple of announcements. Many of you may remember Xiao Ping from Singapore Computer Society. She has been helping me and all of us in Tech Entrepreneur in the early days of TecHour, really behind the scene. She took some time off to actually have twins, right? So welcome back, Xiao Ping. I just found out that it's a boy and a girl pair, and they are doing fine. While Xiao Ping was away, right, we have Imin of Phoebe, right, who was actually helping us, and she literally became the in-house Zoom conference expert, helping me with all my demands on going on live in Facebook and so on, and I really appreciate her helping me. It's said that her contract with SCS is ending, and she's actually leaving SCS. But I'm sure for greener pastures. I'm also very sure that we will see her again in the industry sometime in the future. Now, this month we are very fortunate to have two startup founders with us, Adi and Jeremy, to talk about their experiences in Accelerator. Where accelerators are organizations that run what I call startup boot camps for entrepreneurs. You could be a new entrepreneur, you could be older entrepreneur trying to reboot your business and so on. So they run things like training, giving you the new techniques, connect you with mentors, right? Run demo days. Demo days are days where literally they will introduce you to potential investors or investors who would give you guys feedback on your pitch deck if you're looking for money or just looking for validation of your business. Some of them may even give you a small monthly stipend while you're with them, right? Not a lot of money, but enough to actually keep you guys going to test out entrepreneurship. Now, with this, with the new SG United program, several IHLs are also brought in onto this, and one of them is actually SUTD, right? SUTD actually have an entrepreneurship program. The other IHL have programs such as security, data science, and so on, right? And they also provide a stipend to all participants, right? So I think without further ado, right, what I'll do is that maybe I'll introduce the speakers. Perhaps I introduce one by one, and then after that, like I introduce Adi, and maybe Adi, you would talk a little bit, share a little bit about yourself, and then after that, I'll introduce Jeremy and let Jeremy talk a little bit about himself, right? I knew Adi or Aditya couple or Adi sometime last year, right? And he's actually a very interesting character because he came to study in Singapore, and he has been in Singapore since then. And in that time, right, he's very interested in the research area, looking at robotics, right? What fascinated me was that during university days, and also I think together with Jeremy, they have produced a untethered snake robot, right? And not only that, it's a soft skin snake robot, right? He showed me some interesting videos on why a smooth skin snake is not as good as a soft skin snake. Now that's another topic of discussion for another day. Maybe you can buy him coffee and we could have that. Maybe Adi, you could share a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and what were you doing before you actually started up your company.
Sure. Thanks so much, Chuck. And thanks so much for having us here. It's really a privilege. So I grew up in India and I moved to Singapore in 2012. So about 8-9 years ago, I came to study at NTU to do engineering. And during that time, engineering really opened up a whole world of opportunities for me because I saw so many different ways in which I could apply my creativity and explore different ideas. And that's when I got very interested in robotics. And for me, robotics it really started out as a way to express I guess, the artist in me. It was really a form of art in terms of how I can play with physics, electronics, software to really build something beautiful. And during that time, I met Jeremy as well, and we were both a bit crazy, and we worked on a couple of new ideas. We built some new robots, a few other projects, and through that's where we really learned about what we liked, what we didn't like. And over the years, I was largely working in academia. I was doing research on robotics because that kind of gave me a nice playground to explore new ideas that may not really have much commercial value yet, but you still push the limits of what's thought to be possible. And after 4 or 5 years of doing that kind of academic research, I decided, okay, I really enjoyed that. But then now I also wanted to really build something that worked in the real world that could help other people. And around that time, I became very interested in drones and aircraft, aviation basically. And I wanted to move towards building flying machines that help carry goods, carry people maybe someday, and build this for the real world, not just as a research project. So the beginning of last year, I quit my research job, and then that's when I joined a startup incubator. And after that, still kept trying a few different business ideas, and eventually teamed up again with Jeremy to start the venture that we're doing right now.
Hold on to the accelerator. I'll ask you, an incubator, I'll ask you some question. Uh, yes, as you have alluded, right? Both you guys went to school together and did some robotic stuff together. But unlike yourself, I think Jeremy went on to the commercial world. I think he got a job, right? And of course, recently quit to start this business together again, working together again. Jeremy, also congratulations, newly married, right? Last year.
Thank you.
And it's an interesting time to start a company, right? Just got married. That is
Yeah.
a topic for discussion for another day. But I think it's interesting that you actually went to the accelerator program just before or just right after you guys kick off your startup.
That's right.
But tell us a little bit of what you've done just before you decided to enroll in the programs. A
Okay.
bit about yourself and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm Singaporean. So I grew up in Singapore, and my first exposure into robotics was when I was in secondary school. So I played like with Lego robots, Micro Mouse, and I was really fascinated with it. I found myself like enjoying building things, and it really inspired me to like think of new ideas and what can I build and all that. And but after secondary school, that kind of died down a bit, and it picked up again in uni. And that's where I met Adi, and then we like he shared, we built different projects, experimented different ideas together. And after uni, I told myself I always wanted to do a venture, to do a startup, but I said, maybe it's best I get some working experience first. So I joined DSTA. I told myself, I would just get maybe 1 or 2 years of working experience, but that carried on to about 4 years. And just last year, I met up with Adi again, and we began talking, and the ideas kind of interested me, and so that's where I decided to leave DSTA like last year in October, and just start on this venture together with Adi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right, that you point. I mean, from the SCS standpoint, we actually did a survey a couple of years back, right? And apparently, right, 4 years is about the time where a new entrant into the IT industry changed jobs, right? Either they leave the industry or change jobs or to start something on their own. It's actually quite interesting. And then they just triggered that you say 4 years. I don't know why four is a magical number, right? You guys mentioned robotics, and maybe what you guys could do is to share a little bit with us what your startup do, because I think a very interesting portion of your startup is exactly, Jeremy, what you said, right? Trying to ignite robotic interest in young kids, right? I know you guys have robotic classes for kids and all. Maybe tell us a little bit about what Whyte Labs do.
So I think on the offset when we started out, we really wanted Whyte Labs to be a company doing innovation, and that also went back to the name. How the name Whyte Labs came about was white was the color white, which represents a blank canvas where you can express whatever creativity you want. But it's white with a Y, so WHY, representing curiosity. And labs was to kind of get across the spirit of constant innovation. So we said, hey, we want to work towards some innovations in the aerospace area in aviation, but as a company, as a commercial venture, um, it's it's not so easy to get funded to experiment for a few years with these ideas. And at the same time, we also still really loved what we were doing before with snake robots and different kinds of animal robots, like walking robots. So we said, how can we kind of combine these two? So one avenue that we came across, actually very grateful to Chuck for guiding us in that respect also, was to use animal robots for education. Because we realized, hey, the way we got really interested in robotics was through these animal robots. Back at university in our hostel, we used to try to build our own spider robots, and it was a lot of self-learning, learning about biology, about software, about electronics, about robotics, bringing it all together. But that gave us a very good foundation for all the other all the other research that we did eventually, which really allowed us to even compete at the world stage. So we said, if this gave us such a good foundation, why don't we now share this with other kids at a young age where they do still have a lot of creative ideas before they've lost that curiosity, and give them the tools to experiment with their own ideas. So at the moment, we do largely two things. We have this education division where we're teaching kids and actually even adults now how to build their own animal like robots completely from scratch, not like buying a Lego kit and plug and play, but the complete DIY style. And on the side, we're also doing our own R&D towards some of the aviation ideas that we have.
Jeremy, what kind of what age group are you guys teaching the kids? I mean your robotic classes.
So for our robotics classes, we are teaching kids from ages of 10 to 15,
Okay.
but we have been getting interest also from like young adults and adults as well. And so we are also open, if people who are interested in building these robots to come and join us as well.
Okay, great, cool. Maybe one of you guys could paste your robotic classes or whatever it is in the chat group, right? And let us continue with the accelerators. Adi, I know you came across accelerators or incubators first, right? Did you look at many incubators, and why did you choose the incubator you went to, right? What did they provide you, and so forth? I'll get to you later, Jeremy, because I think Jeremy, you just finished your class, right? And I wanted some really, nuggets from you, right? And Adi, you did it before, right? Yeah, maybe Adi, can you go about telling us a little bit about the incubators and which one did you go to?
Sure. Thanks, Chuck. So I joined this incubator called Entrepreneur First, which is
Yeah.
they're a very early stage incubator where they come in pre-seed. Actually, they take you onto their program before you even have a team or before you have an idea. So what they call themselves really is a talent investor, where they invest in individuals. And how their program works is every 6 months, they take in about 80 to 100 individuals from different backgrounds, tech, business, biotech, and everything in between. And they give you this kind of fertile playground where over 3 months, you can try to find a co-founder within this cohort and come up with a viable business idea. The reason I eventually went with Entrepreneur First, EF, they're called EF. So actually, I considered, it was about 3 years. Over 3 years, I considered whether or not I should join them because their program was quite interesting. But I always knew that I wanted to do a hardware startup. And I felt that going directly into that program, or in Singapore in general, the support wasn't that great at that point for hardware startups. But what EF did was very interesting. They partnered with another accelerator based in Shenzhen in China called Hacks. And they had this joint program, which is started 2-3 years ago, whereby you start the program in Singapore with EF, you find a co-founder, you come up with a viable business idea. And if they fund it, if they like it, and your thing is hardware related, then you go to Shenzhen in China where they support you to build your hardware product. And once they had that program, that gave me the final push to join and give it a
Oh,
shot.
so you actually went to Shenzhen?
No, I didn't I didn't make it through the program. I didn't find a co-founder on the program. So yeah. But that was the initial idea. Yeah.
Right. So you actually do have to find a co-founder, and I guess
Yeah.
what they do is that they have rounds and rounds of presentation, right? And then if you're not good enough, they'll kick you out or something like that. Is it correct?
Basically they don't fund your startup then. So they
Okay.
give you 3 months where they pay you a stipend and they give you the support that you need. And at the end of the 3 months, you pitch to their investment committee. Then they decide, do they want to make a pre-seed investment into your startup and help get it off the ground? So at that point, they invest typically 75,000 Singapore dollars for 10% of your company. And then over the next 3 months, they work with you to raise a seed round.
Right.
So,
Okay, that's interesting. So Jeremy, so you went to a different type of program, right? Tell us a little bit about that program.
Yeah, so I need to thank Chuck also because he was the one who recommended me to go for this SUTD venture building program. So in the program, it's a 3 months long program, and you get like a stipend of like 1,500 a month. Over there, the course was run by this vendor called Eat Launchpad, but I believe they're called Rescale Labs now. It was run by this guy called Gustavo, and how he structured the program was he really gave us the basics and tools, like expectations on what a startup is like, that roller coaster ride, and he also gave us a lot of tools on ideation, how to validate your idea, and also he brought in like speakers. So one of the speakers that he brought was Faru from Popsicle, and he got us to share, and that was really valuable for me because he was also like a hardware startup, and people are saying like hardware startups, it is really tough, and just hearing from him how his journey was really an inspiration for me as well, and he also invited others as well, and also one thing also was he also got us into groups, like small groups, to kind of work on different ideas. So that was a good area to get to know like different people and who you pair up with, and eventually pair up to work on your idea. So there was like a moment for about like 2 to 3 weeks where you get the kind of working experience, a very short like 3 days working experience. Whether you guys have that kind of chemistry to continue on together.
Cool. Yeah. So just to declare, I'm not running the program for SUTD, but I am a mentor there. But I'm also a mentor in several other universities as well, including SMU and NUS in the past and so on. So basically, I do work with the different organizations to talk to the startup, and that's the extent. And I thought that it's an interesting program from the perspective that I think I didn't really know much about that program when I introduced you, Jeremy, but I thought I knew that at least what they were trying to do is somewhat like an accelerator to teach you guys, some basic skills of entrepreneurism. And again, hopefully opening up you guys to very much like the for-profit operators like EF and Enter and all to possible investors, right? I think that's a very interesting program. What is the feedback? I mean, from the learning perspective and from the exposure perspective, are this program doing what they're doing, or it's just a, going through the motion? What do you guys think?
So I guess it depends on the participant, right? Like how you treat it, whether you are just going through the motion or you're really treating it as an exercise. So from there, the exposure, like we are definitely exposed. Like you get to network with the people around you and also the mentors, asking for help and also validating on your ideas. There are also like presentations where you do where people grind and refine the ideas as you present. So I think definitely, we did meet those. Yeah.
Adi, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with Jeremy that I think every participant's experience in these programs is going to be different. For me, it really opened up my mind, because I was someone who was always in the academic bubble before that my whole life. And there's a lot of mindset shifts that need to happen when you transition from doing pure research to starting a business. The whole notion of going and talking to customers. I think, one thing that the media often, I think the media often very misportrays what it means to start a company. It's always shown as very cool to start a startup, and it's all about pitching to investors and raising funds. But through EF, I learned that, hey, no, it's the real deal is about going and talking to customers, pitching to customers, understanding their problems, convincing them, not convincing investors. And a lot of that mindset shift really came through the program. And what Jeremy mentioned, the networking also is amazing. You meet so many people from different walks of life. They become friends, you learn from them. And also, I think these early stage incubators, they create that safe space for you to experiment with different co-founders, try working with different people, and that really helps a lot as well in learning about yourself, learning about other people. I learned a lot more about my own interests and inclinations through the program. Before that, you might think, hey, I'm okay starting a business just to make money, or not to make, or I don't, or you might think, I start a business, but I don't care about the money. But you get a lot more perspective on yourself once you actually try.
Right. Besides the exposure that they're giving you, right? Are there any intangibles you think you guys would recommend or not recommend? Okay, talk about the positive first, right? I will talk about the negatives after that, right? What are positive points you guys are looking at when you want to, let's say, introduce, right, or tell the other entrepreneurs that you should go after this program? What are the positives? I mean, what would you, when you recommend to an entrepreneur, what are the positive things that you guys would say about the programs or programs like this?
I think it's really an experience. They give you that. I think one of the biggest positives is they de-risk a lot of things for you and provide that safe space. So for example, with EF, they pay you a stipend for 3 months. And as a foreigner, they also get you a 1-year entrepreneur pass that lets you stay in Singapore, so that even if the program doesn't work out for you, you have time to still figure something else out. And the network that comes with this, because these programs run batch after batch for many years. So the alumni and all those connections that you make are very helpful as well.
Jeremy, your positive thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Adi as well. Like, but maybe I guess it is really an environment like to really refine your ideas and validate on the ideas that you have. I guess you need to go there with an open mind, so that you can take inputs and make changes and that people feedback on.
Well, what about negatives? What are the negatives that you guys think about joining a program like this? I mean, sometimes I get a feedback that some programs are too structured, right? They teach you only one way of doing things, right? Do you guys find that, right? or in a bigger story, right? Can entrepreneurial spirit be taught, right? Because basically that's what they're teaching you, right? How to become an entrepreneur, how to do the startup.
I guess, well, depends on what your goal is also as a participant. Like if you absolutely want to succeed at the program, by succeed I mean come out with a successful company that gets funded, that may not always happen, because a lot of these programs, they're not for everyone, in the sense, the way EF works is they want you to ideally work on something that you already have a very strong edge in. You have a lot of experience in a certain domain or certain technical discipline, and you find a co-founder who complements you. For example, the best fits normally are the ones where someone with a lot of business experience teams up with someone with a lot of technical experience. And these programs aren't really places to experiment with new ideas so much. Like, say for example, your background is in healthcare, but now you want to get into manufacturing. It's very hard to, in this such a short time, to validate a new business idea, understand a new domain, and then get funded and get customer traction. So in that sense, it's not for everyone. Like, it's important. The hard part is aligning what you love to do with what you're good at and finding someone who complements you.
Your thought, Jeremy?
So I agree with Chuck. Like for SUTD, I felt that the program was very structured. Like, and we had given them feedback, and hopefully they will change. Like sometimes, like for instance, there's some sort of deliverables that that they kind of require you to do, but sometimes at the stage of where the startup is in, it might not make sense. So in that sense, that was a negative. But I guess another one is also like finding a co-founder. It's really hard to find a co-founder within such a short span of time. So I think maybe people going in there should come with an expectation that, it is really just to expose yourself and not to have like an expectation, that they're going there, to be co-founders.
Okay, I think there is a very good divergence between the two of you, right? Because one, Adi, you went for a for-profit, accelerator program, right? Whereas I think Jeremy, you went to an IHL, right, accelerator program. I think there's something slightly different. Both of them give you guys the perspective of teaching you guys some basic skills and connection, right? Whereas I think for the EF type or the for-profit organizations are looking really at, going in early to invest in a startup, right? And hopefully they can make a big bundle out of that, right? And they don't make so much money from the training perspective of things, right? So to them, they are making sure that they get their mentors and their investors are very happy because they give them a real opportunity for early stage investment, let's say in a stage of the for-profit ones, right? Whereas for actually the IHL ones, while they want to help you build entrepreneurship, I think the process is important for them, meaning that they want to make sure that skills are being taught, right? So in the end of the day, I look at programs like for the IHL beyond, or rather even in a commercial sense, right? I'm looking beyond just the successful organizations, but really building growth mindset in individuals, right? Whether you're running an organization, you're working for an organization or your own startup. Because even my view is going to the future. The reason why big organizations are very slow is because they have very fixed process, right? And things are changing very quickly. And with the staff with a very strong growth mindset, right? They are able then to help even the structured company to grow faster, right? And therefore, I think for the IHL programs, right? The program should also target, if you ask me, corporate individuals, right, who want to look at a different mindset. Right? Of course, for the for-profit organization, they're not going to target corporate individuals because they are not going to give them the returns that they want to get if because it's just going back to work, right? So I think objective is slightly different. If listeners out there wants to go to different programs and do evaluate, like Adi and Jeremy mentioned about, what are the objectives, right? When you guys want to go, right? So let me ask you guys, right? What is the one thing you guys learn most from the program that really stands out? You know, sorry to put you guys on the spot. So it's always easier to say that what is one thing that's really useful and the thing that jumps up to you and that's the one that actually affects you most.
Maybe I can go first.
Yeah, go.
There are a lot of things, but if I had to pick one, really the most important thing was, I think what I observed in my cohort, and when I see the teams that really succeeded with their startup, that get funded, that get customer traction and everything, one common thing that I see across all these founders is that they have a lot of clarity on themselves. They really know, they're very clear about what they want to do, why they want to do it, and what they're good at. And that takes time to, and that's something that you can only really get that clarity on yourself once you try, once you actually do. Once you might think, for example, I want to start a cooking app, for example. Then you go talk to maybe potential customers or whoever. But then eventually you might see, hey, actually, I don't care so much about solving this problem, or actually, this isn't as exciting for me. There's something else that's more interesting. So that comes, I think, over time. But I think that eventually is really key um, to productively moving forward.
Cool. Jeremy?
I guess for me, there are many points as well, but I guess one thing that in the program, there was this video that they were showing about you just only need one person to believe in you. And I think that stuck with me like throughout, to really persevere. Any obstacles that come in your way, yeah, you just need one to believe in you, and yeah.
Cool. I mean, there's a question out there which is very specific. That was asked: do you guys provide online robotic courses to schools worldwide?
We're looking into it. We haven't started yet, but something we're exploring.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know Ahmed who asked the question. I can put you guys in touch, if there's anything. All right. So would you recommend entrepreneurs to sign up for programs like this?
Definitely, yeah.
Why?
If you're new, it's a very good starting point, like to really have a crash course on the different areas of starting a business, and the beginning with the networks, like-minded people who are also looking into building it. You'll learn a lot from them, and not only through the course. Yeah.
Yeah, I echo the same thing as Jeremy on that.
Okay. So what about entrepreneurs? What about individuals who are already entrepreneurs? Do you think they will learn something new? I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have come across, let's say, older individuals in your classes, right? Do you think that it'll be useful for them as well?
So actually, that's something that I wonder about as well, because on EF we did have quite a few serial entrepreneurs join the program. People who had successful exits, even the millions of dollars, but they'd still come back to the program. I mean, not come back to the program, they joined the program for the first time to look for a new co-founder to start something new, some new venture. And I guess the reason that they do that is because, one, finding a co-founder typically is hard. And what EF does is they do bring in a very talented group of individuals together where you can experiment with different people. And I guess I guess it's also about lifelong learning, right? Like you might have started a company doing e-commerce for something and that was successful, but then you meet other talented young individuals and you learn new things from them. And the interesting thing is EF always mandates that the founders do a 50-50 equity split. So whether one founder has 20 years of experience with 3 successful exits and he or she teams up with a fresh grad who is a computer science or AI tech person with 0 practical experience, maybe they still have to do 50-50 split.
Well, that's an interesting policy.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, the dynamics there.
Does SUTD requires you to do that, Jeremy?
No, they don't. They don't get involved with.
Structure of the company.
Yeah.
I guess because I think they're not really an investor, right? Whereas EF actually makes money from investing. I think that's like slightly different. But after having said that, I also understand that SUTD or programs with the IHL tends to also help you guys apply for loans, grants and some money. Is that correct?
Yeah, SUTD, they're in AMP. I think it's the Accredited Mentor Program.
Yes.
Yeah. So they will be helping us. They do help startups like on the SG Founders Grant. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
so I guess the IHLs are towards more the government programs, I suppose, right? Whereas EF is a little bit more open, and then they are also. I don't think EF is not against any government program, but I think they run it quite independently because I think someone like EF runs it around the world, right? Cool. Yeah, I think that's actually very interesting stuff. So what's okay, guys? If you guys want to ask the guys some questions, the viewers, please do it in the panel, and I'll take questions from Facebook Live as well because I also have another panel open. And sometimes you see me looking left and right because I'm looking at different panels, trying to figure out if anybody has asked any questions, right? Okay, what's next for you guys in Whyte Labs?
So I guess right now we're focusing on our education division a bit more and seeing we're experimenting with different ideas there, teaching walking robots to kids. Right now it's offline physical classes, trying to refine our pedagogy there. And really we're seeing we're trying to figure out what's the really unique thing that we can offer that isn't really there. So learning more about the education space and then make this sustainable because we want to really create a community of young minds around this. So that's one. And then also we're trying to do some R&D on our other aviation ideas and see where we go there.
Okay, Jeremy, your thoughts?
Yeah. So it's the same as Adi as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a question from Ahmad. What do you think of the future of education? Do you think the current school curriculum is outdated? I know you guys have an opinion on the current school's robotic curriculum, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you guys shared with me over coffee some time ago that the feedback you guys got was that it's a really boring stuff. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
So
Jeremy, do you want to-
maybe yeah, maybe I can share because I started robotics in secondary school, and there I was playing with like Lego robots and micro mouse, and I was really shocked to see that when I saw what the kids are playing with now, it's different, but it's mostly similar, where they don't really teach. They don't go into more about the hardware, the electronics, that is very core to robotics as well. They mostly focus on like very basic things and very plug and play things, which I felt, it ruined a lot of the fun out of creating something, because I mean, as a kid, you have a lot of imaginations and you want to be able to build all sorts of things. But I think these current platforms that available out there is always about building a kit. I mean, a very structured way where you have a kit and you're supposed to build it, and then it only performs like in this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm not defending the school systems, right? But I think one part of it has to look at from the school standpoint a generic thing for everybody. So there are different levels, right? So some people may be interested, some may not interested in robotics. So therefore, they do you know, when you cut the grass, right? Some are much taller, but they all lower the level to one level, you know, right? So I think that's what in general, I guess, a general education is doing. I think from what you guys are doing, you guys are actually more looking at piquing really the interest of the child, right? The youth, right? Looking at things that, you know, how do they actually apply what they learn in biology, in physical science, in mathematics to make something useful, right? In this particular case, a robot, right? But it could be something else, right? So really to channel their creativity somewhere else. Tell me a bit about I know you guys are running a course, right? First of all, can the guys who attend our you know, session get a big discount, you know, going to the courses for their kids? Right? You guys will give them a discount, right?
Sure, happy to share. So actually so our course, we have two batches later this month. One is the end of next week, which aligns with the March school holidays for public schools, and another at the end of March, which is typically for kids going to international schools. Actually, for our upcoming workshop, we even have a parent who signed up together with his son. They both want to come and learn together and also do some bonding. We are actually offering, we're offering so our prior course was initially priced at about $1,200 for a 3-day program. But then some parents reached out to us, and we spoke to their kids, and we're very inspired by the enthusiasm that these kids have about why they want to learn, what they've done before. And some parents felt that they wanted to send their kids, but it was a bit too expensive. And so we decided to make a part of our course complimentary, because how our course works is the first day is an intro to Arduino, and the next 2 days is when they actually learn how to build the walking robots. So we decided to make the first day complimentary for those who sign up for the whole course. And so we reduced the price from $1,200 to $820. We haven't yet updated that on our website. We'll be doing that by tomorrow. But
Okay.
if anyone is interested, they can reach out to us.
Okay, I see what you guys mean now, because Jeremy was talking about kids, robotic kids, right? So you guys are actually using generic stuff, right, to teach your kids. Not you don't have to buy a Mindstorm, or you don't have to buy a whatever robot kits that is relatively expensive to actually build the robot, right? You guys are actually looking at motors, you know, Arduinos, you know, whatever that is generic out there that actually help to put together and literally solder them or whatever it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I've not been to a robotic class. I probably should have gone to some of your classes, but
No, it's exactly what you said. Like, we want to basically give the kids the experience of, you know, being able to buy off-the-shelf parts. So you go to Simlim or wherever, and then integrate those to bring your own idea to life. So that's why our robot also uses these off-the-shelf parts, so that they can then repurpose this or buy other similar parts to build maybe not a walking robot, but maybe a kid wants to build a cat feeding robot, or a plant automation or home automation or anything.
there's a question. I think let's go back to accelerators. The final question I'll take. I've asked you guys what you guys think was important, right? But I think Ahmad's question was actually quite interesting. From your experience, right? What was the most important topic you think that was taught by the accelerator? No, he's talking about the training program. I mean, there are lots of networking, you know, lots of you know, introduction to mentors and things. What are topics that's important for you guys? You guys otherwise would have known, let's say, right? If not gone for an accelerator in terms of the training.
I think for me, it was the whole notion of learning about the importance of the importance of talking to customers and how to talk to customers.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
I was
really.
I was gonna say customer validation as well, like learning how to, because sometimes what you think, they're mostly assumptions, right? Like on your ideas. So you need to go out there and learn how to validate your assumptions. Yeah.
All right. I think we are running out of time. I usually am fairly on time so that everybody, you know, everybody actually sticks to that the lunchtime period. Are there any last minute questions that you guys have? If not, yeah, if not, I think I really like to thank the two of you, right? Appreciate the time you guys actually spent talking to me. I've a little while I know a little bit about the accelerator programs because I've been mentor to some of them and I've been to many of their demo days, right? I mean, getting to know the insights is actually quite important, right? And I think I hope thank you so much for the contacts you guys have put on the onto the chat. If you guys don't mind, can I share that on Facebook Live as well? Okay,
Sure.
I'll do that. I think it's interesting to find that something like EF would require you to 50-50, and SUTD doesn't really matter, I think it's interesting differences that I get to know, right, from the discussion we have. Again, thank you so much for taking time, right, and all you guys out there who are joining us, thank you again, right. Look forward to next month. Next month, what I'll do is that I will look at tools that startup can use either very cheaply or for free, right, out there, and I'll speak. I will select a tool, and I will get someone from the tool side to explain what they do, and perhaps somebody who's been using that tool to explain how they use the tool, right, for the collaboration, for their communication, and so on, right. All right, thank you very much, Jeremy and Adi. Really appreciate the time. All the best in your startup, and all the best in your robotic class as well. Okay.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you to
Yeah,
everyone
thank you,
for
Chuck.
joining.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a nice week.